In the remote Ladakh region, China accused Indian troops of illegally trespassing onto its territory, adding that China has never taken an inch of land from others over the past 70 years. Now, although the two sides have been in regular touch since the June clashes, there's no sign yet of disengagement. So, what happened over the weekend? Can the two countries de-escalate anytime soon? And what is happening in the Himalayas? Joining me for the discussion in Beijing is Mr. Ye Hailin, Vice Dean of the National Institute of International Strategy at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and from New Delhi, Professor Madhav Nalapat of the Department of Geopolitics and International Relations at Manipal University. Professor Nalapat is joining us on the phone here. Welcome to you both. So first, let's take a look at what happened at the border over the weekend. The Indian Army issued a statement on Monday morning saying that PLA troops carried out provocative military movements to change the status quo. Indian troops preempted this PLA activity on the southern bank of the Pangong-Tso Lake, undertook measures to strengthen our positions. But according to the Chinese Foreign Ministry, China's border troops have been strictly abiding by the LAC, the line of actual control, and they have never trespassed. Let's now have a listen to the spokesperson's response.
What India said may differ from what China said, but there is only one simple truth. Since the founding of the People's Republic of China more than 70 years ago, we have never initiated a war or conflict and never taken an inch of land that is not ours. In fact, China's border troops have been strictly abiding by the line of actual control, and they've never trespassed.
So that is the statement from Foreign Ministry. Mr. Ye, let me start with you. Give us the Chinese perspective first, and we'll get to the Indian perspective later. Why is the border tension flaring up again, Mr. Ye?
Generally speaking, there's because of the two sides have a different understanding on where is the line of actual control. But in my personal opinion, the recent movement adopted by Indians, they are not satisfied with the discussion and the dialogue between the military and the diplomats of the two countries. Obviously, the Indians want to change the status quo and try to gain some advantages from the battlefield, from the field, to gain some bargaining chips on the discussion and negotiation with China side. This is the Chinese understanding and the Chinese perspective.
Professor Nalapat, if you're with us, what do you think is happening there? Do you agree with what's been said there by Mr. Ye?
Well, I'd like to say that we have had 18 rounds of discussions between the special representative of two sides, and we have been discussing this boundary issue right from the 1950s. You'll recall that India was one of the first countries to recognize the People's Republic of China, and in the 1950s, India strongly supported China to join the United Nations Security Council over the KMT regime. Now, this is the support that India has given to China. But the point is, so far as the line of actual control is concerned, the two sides have a different perspective. Now, in this, I would like to say, supposing you have a situation in which one side is saying that 100% of what we say is right and 0% of what you say is right, well, then you really can't have a dialogue. So the point is very simple. We believe that we have a line of control. The Chinese believe they have another line of control. And I think it's important for both sides to work out an agreed line of control.
Yeah, clearly there's a gap in the understanding here between the two sides. But Mr. Ye, tell us, is Pangong-Tso Lake a disputed area? I mean, because China is saying that the southern bank of the lake is within its actual control, and if not, what is India trying to do here?
Actually, we can't say the whole Pangong Lake is the disputed areas. Actually, the Pangong Lake is the 600 kilometers squares. It's really big and very long, because from the west to east, it's 200 kilometers long. So it's only the differences between China and India is where is the line for actual control. It's not. It's a few spots around the lake, not the whole lake. And in this spot, it's the southern bank. It's in Chinese perspective, it belongs to China under the control of China and in the side of the line of actual control. But in this April, Indian infiltrate and cross the line and stay there until June. And now what we see is during this weekend, India crossed the line again and built 3 strongholds in Chinese land control areas. So that's the reason, in Chinese perspective, the cause the sort of confrontation of this event. But the point is that, just like the very rightly pointed by Professor Narapat, the two sides has a different understanding on the land actual control. But each side need to have the same self-control to control the front security forces movement against or cross the line. And there's one thing we should be noticed, that both sides clearly not only know where is the line for control in their perspective, they also know where is the line of the actual control in the other side's perspective. So cross the line, cross another side's perspective, the line of in another side's perspective. It's really difficult to say it has it's based on the goodwilling. It definitely will. It's very easy to cause some confrontation, even more serious confrontation.
Yeah, this is the case where consensus has not been reached. Now, Professor Nalapat, the Indian Defense Ministry has taken down a report on Chinese transgressions beginning early May. Why did India do that? Was the report inaccurate, or were there other considerations?
Well, possibly they want to revise the report and they want to prepare give the revised version. This kind of thing happens very often. I mean, fortunately, in the internet, it's very easy to take down items and to edit and to revise. I want to point out that the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, made it very clear at Singapore, in the presence of the defense ministers of the United States, Japan, and several other countries, that India wants a free and open Indo-Pacific, and that India is not directed against any country. Now, obviously, that reference was to China. And secondly, our foreign minister, in a discussion with the Americans, I'm not talking about discussions with the Russians, who we all know are good friends of China and who are good friends of India, but the Americans, who I don't think are very friendly to China as of this time, the foreign minister made it very clear that India would like to have an understanding with China, and that it's important for the world to have this understanding. So the point is both sides have to learn to walk the extra mile. And, I would also like to say, India would like to be treated as an equal, because we believe we are an equal to China. We are, both India and China have suffered colonial exploitation. We are both large Asian countries. We both have bright futures. So we would like to see that the treatment is equal on both sides.
Learn to walk an extra mile. That might be a very good suggestion in this case. But Mr. Ye, now India has also accused Chinese military of building a 5G network along the LAC, saying that PLA troops were also found constructing barracks and other infrastructure near the Pangong Lake. How would you respond to the accusation?
Firstly, just according to the Indian's accusation, China is built the 5G facilities alongside with the LAC. I think the 5G is not facilities not only serve the purpose of the military, but also mainly serve the purpose of the civilian. And we know alongside with the LAC, there is some village and the Chinese ordinary people still living there, and they are the nomads that need 5G facilities to provide the telecommunication for their living. So that's natural. It's not military purpose. And secondly, about the Chinese PLA build the barracks or another military facilities, we should know actually the Indian security forces do the same thing since the April, and even before that, actually both sides also built some necessary facilities and steps alongside with the border or the LAC. It not provide enough reason for another side to cross the LAC and take some measures, so-called preemptive, and to try to stop another side's operation or the construction. It's quite really difficult to say that. So I do something to prevent something you did, so I will take the first shot and the first move. It's quite difficult to say this justify the purpose by such kind of preemptive operations.
So about this preemptive action, Professor Nalapat, let me also get your take on what's been said here. How do you read the preemptive action taken by India? I mean, does that mean that India made the first move before the PLA had done anything?
Well, the PLA has been very active for several decades, and as my Chinese colleague will testify, they have built a huge number of outposts, they have built airfields, they have got missile bases, and they have moved a lot of troops. And all along the frontier, it's a very well-defended, well-guarded frontier. So I would only like to say, I don't think the PLA has been sleeping for the last 20 or 30 years, or even for the last 20 or 30 days. They have been very, very active. I would only like to point out that, look, it's very, very important to understand that this is India, this is China. It's very, very important to understand these are the two biggest countries in the world in terms of population. And in terms of purchasing power parity, you are the single biggest country, and we are most likely the third biggest country economy in the world. So therefore, there has to be an effort at reconciliation. But that effort can only take place if India is seen, like China, like Russia, like the United States, as a country, not part of a group of countries, but, if I may say so, an independent major power. And I think that is the point. One cannot look at India from the prism of relations with other South Asian countries. You have to look at India from the prism of relations with a great power and a future, along with you and the United States, a future superpower. So we are only saying what China was been saying from the 1970s, the 1960s, under Chairman Mao, that look, treat us as the country we are, and I assure you, we will respond to that.
I also want to get to what's going to happen next, right? Here's what's happening now. Fortunately, according to the Indian Army officers and security analysts, no punches were thrown. No one was injured this time. The incident was much less severe than the physical conflict in June in roughly the same area, which led to casualties on both sides. Seems like both sides are exercising restraint, somehow a good sign. But you know, China and India have been in regular touch through military and diplomatic channels for over 3 months now. But complete disengagement is still nowhere in sight. So, Mr. Ye, given the current situation, do you think the two can de-escalate anytime soon? What's next?
We can recall the Doklam accident in 2017 and also the Galwan River accident in this June. Actually, such kind of the confrontation, all the event last at least 2 months. So if we follow the example or in the past few years, we can see, yes, I'm very optimistic that the China and the India will find a way to de-escalate the situation, but it takes time and it requires the patience from both sides. I'm not worried about the China and the India will involve the very severe border armed conflicts in the coming years or the coming months, but we should notice that both sides need to realize this is a very sensitive topic and it requires massive diplomatic joint effort. Joint effort means that both sides should come to closer and try to sit down and have the very fruitful and patient dialogue. So it requires time and a lot of the very hard work. I think China and India we are both, just like the Professor Nalapat pointed out, we are both very ancient civilization. So time for us is not a problem. But the question is that the patience for us, we need more patience and we need focusing on the border issue and not try to avoid the temptation of be seduced